Between breakdowns, bike rides, and a ton of miles, we're back on the road. Let's talk a little bit about Acadia National Park and how we got there. Welcome back to Rolling with Olive. After spending most of the summer at home and in Japan, we're finally back on the road full time. And I've got to be completely honest, the first couple of weeks were extremely grueling. But looking back on how beautiful the coast of Maine was and how much fun we had at Acadia National Park, it all feels very worth it. So let's take a look and see how we got here. Right out of the gate, 4 hours into our trip and barely past the Florida border, Olive decided to stop. Like completely stop. No sputtering, no warnings, just bam, doing 55 miles an hour, and out of nowhere we lose all power. Luckily for us, I've had the pleasure of driving beater vehicles for my entire life. So breakdown normally isn't that big of a deal. But this time, as the kids would say, it hit different. And not in a good way. Olive is a 31-year-old van at her core, and to not expect issues is ignorant. But I think between the lack of sleep and having just left home, I was so demoralized. Luckily, after two $90 Ubers to the closest auto parts store, a new distributor, starter, timing light, a few $100s, and a couple hours on the side of the road, we were back on the move. Well, at least to the next closest Planet Fitness and Walmart to get clean, get some rest, and try again the next day. Our plan was to get up the East Coast as quick as possible to escape Florida's brutal summer heat, with two planned pit stops along the way. First stop was in Greenville, South Carolina, to spend a few days in Paris Mountain State Park, exploring the town and spending some time with family before we hit the road full time. And that is exactly what we did. The park is absolutely beautiful, with tons to do, including swimming, hiking, and fishing. There also are a handful of backcountry campsites on a lake that look awesome, but we didn't get a chance to check them out. One major takeaway was just how much the South Carolina Park Services encourage kids to get outside and try new stuff. And I mean outside of the normal free entry or discounts. Inside the park store, there were free fishing poles to borrow, as well as rangers happy to help and teach. No need for a fishing license, no need for bait, rod, or reel. Just show up, take a pole, and go out and try it. All this just to encourage kids to try something new, and specifically something new outside. And I think that is extremely cool. Overall, if you're the type of person to stay in legit campsites or enjoy state parks, Paris Mountain is an easy recommendation from us. From there, we popped over to Asheville, North Carolina to spend a couple days with our best friends, Drew and Sarah. We spent our time in Asheville hanging out with our friends, eating amazing food, and checking out some of the wonderful shops in the area. We also managed to catch a local band on the up and up called Wednesday. As always, it was an amazing trip, and as always, it was extremely hard to say goodbye. But we had a goal: find cooler weather. This is where we buckled down hard. We had a goal to get north, and we were going to put some miles behind us. It was all kind of a blur, mixed with amazing sights and even more amazing people. The Northeast of the United States is notoriously unfriendly to boondockers and van life. Not so much the people, but the laws. There aren't many public lands once you're north of West Virginia, which leaves free camping hard to come by. But before we left, Danny came across a membership called Boondockers Welcome. It's essentially a network of people that allow you to park on their property for the night. Sometimes it's a driveway, other times it's a massive farm, but either way, so far our experience has been nothing but amazing. Everyone has been so welcoming and so friendly. It completely changed how we were able to travel this part of the country, and honestly, I'll probably do a standalone video on it by itself. But after 6 days of driving, we did it. We made it to Maine. More specifically, we made it to Acadia National Park. Acadia was one of those parks that has been on my list but wasn't a must-see, similar to Badlands. And just like Badlands, it completely blew me away. Unfortunately, I have a pretty bad ankle injury right now, so we were limited on the hikes that we were able to do. That, and they wouldn't let Olive drive up Cadillac Mountain, so we'll have to come back. But even still, it was an amazing time. Acadia is located on the northeast coast of Maine and is broken up into a few different parts. The two main areas being a lower peninsula that makes up the primary part of the national park, and Schoodic Point, which is a little bit north. Our first day, we drove into the park, found a place to park, and hopped on the free bus that drove around the loop road, hopping on and off at different stops. Having free transportation inside of a national park is such a game changer. It allows people to see so much more while also cutting down on congestion. I cannot stress just how much we love the free buses in this park. That night we spurged and got a campsite on Schoodic Point, and man was it nice. The spots had plenty of room, power, bathrooms, and a dishwashing station. But there weren't any showers available, and you're not allowed to use your pop-up showers either. We got pretty lucky with our time in Acadia. The weather was great, the surf was up, so we got to see all of the stunning views while experiencing the waves crashing on the rocky coasts. Thunder Hole, one of the big must-see parts of the park, was absolutely thundering, and it was so much fun to explore the different coasts available to us. They had big rocky cliffs that slowly sloped into the ocean, down to small pebble beaches that sound so wild when the tide comes in and out. We also got the chance to eat lunch at the park restaurant one afternoon, which was surprisingly delicious. And we rode a few miles on the old carriage trails on our bikes. Overall, it was a great time, and I'm honestly looking forward to visiting again, but maybe in a different season this time. So yeah, that was our trip to Acadia National Park. As you can see, we're currently in New Hampshire, and we've been through Canada, so this video is coming out a little bit late, but it's out all the same. Our original plan was to make it down to Asheville, North Carolina in early November and then to scoot across to Salt Lake City, Utah. But as I'm sure most of you know, Asheville was heavily impacted by Hurricane Helene. I'll have a link in the description down below if you guys feel like you want to donate some money or if you're able to. So we really don't have a definite plan yet. Anyways, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like. If you didn't like it, dislike it. And if you have anything you want us to cover or anything you want to tell to us, please feel free to leave a comment down below. We'll see you in the next one.